Let's do this.
It's time for Hanging with Langan.
I like that she's got a big dirty mouth that gets her in trouble.
Wow.
Stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time.
Hey, you guys. Hello, you're hanging with Langan. I'm so happy to see you today. I have 4 great guests joining me in just a minute. Now, if you're watching this, you got to share. You have to just share it. You're on the .com. You just say, hey, share, watch. That's how we grow the numbers. Today, it's about Ladies of Laughter, some of the most hysterical women I know from this crazy business, as well as the founder of the Ladies of Laughter. That's an organization that has been supporting women doing comedy since the 90s. There's contests and showcases. And really, even when you're in the contest, these are national winners who are joining me. I was there in the first season. I was a finalist. I'd been doing comedy for about 20 minutes at that time. But it's such a wonderful, wonderful way for you to be showcased, to be seen, to take a risk and say, I'm going to enter the contest. So we're going to talk more about that. There's a big taping at the Friars Club on May 11th at 7:30 p.m., the New York City Friars Club. So we're doing an album taping, the first ever all women comedy recording at the Friars Club. So it's really historic, and we'll talk to the founder of the Ladies of Laughter in just a bit. But first, what I want to do is ask you to please share this. It's very important. It'll be painful if you don't. And if you're watching it on the Hangin' with Langan Facebook group, please make sure we can see your comments, but I cannot see the name associated with your comment unless you give me permission. So go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. What is that, Maureen? StreamYard.com/Facebook. They'll be able to see your name associated with your comments. All right. So what I want to do is bring on 3 of the national winners who will be at the Friars Club on May 11th, along with myself and 5 other women to perform stand-up for the special album recording. First and foremost, one of my oldest, dearest friends in the business, Jane Condon, journalist turned comedian.
Hey, Maureen. Yay.
Thanks for being here. And the warm-up act for The View, and I know you're going to have questions, but how did that happen? It's really exciting. Regina, DeCicco.
Yay, Regina.
Hello, ladies.
I got bed bugs at a gig we did together. Never had one of those before, so that was fun. It was really, and ladies and gentlemen, everyone's best friend. Everyone's best friend. Everybody wants to be this woman's best friend. Lawyer turned comedian, Liz Glazer.
Hi.
And I'm in a secret room in a semi-public place. So if somebody comes to get me, just know it's okay. Okay.
So what I want to ask you, ladies, this is really important. I'm sure you get this all of the time. I know I do. How did you start? People get scared. I wanted to puke when I started. I still sometimes want to puke. But Jane, you were a journalist. You tell people how you began. Like, what was your first time, the first time you did stand up, and what precipitated that?
Well, I used to be a responsible person. As you say, I worked for Life and Fortune magazine. And then, but I was youngest of 4, so I wanted attention. But the first time I went on stage was at Treehouse in Westport, Connecticut. I like to say my husband was out of town and I was unsupervised. And the first time I got up there, Johnny Rizzo, who's the king of comedians in Connecticut, said, "You're pretty good, kid." He said, "Get out of this business while you still can, because it's very addictive," which is very true. But I was already hooked.
And I want to hear, Gina, when's the very first time you went on, and what made you want to do that?
Oh, so I actually took a stand-up class because I wanted to do it so badly, but I think I was always afraid. Just like you were saying, Maureen, it's like terrifying. And then I think I was so afraid. I took the class. I got on stage. The very first time I got up, I thought it was completely uncomfortable, unnatural. I was like, this is so weird. These are strangers. Why am I telling them personal stuff? And I wanted to do it again. And that's when I was like, this is a problem. Like, I watched it and I'm like, I was so nervous. I didn't move the mic stand. I left it in the middle of the stage and it looked like a mountain to me. Like, I couldn't get over it. Like, I performed between the mic stand and the edge of the stage. Like, my now husband, he's like, it looked like you were just going to run. Like, you'll just, at some point, you just be like, just go. But I did it. And then I'm like, I need to do it again. And here we are.
Where was the first place you went to, though? Where was the first club? Where was that?
So while I was doing my stand-up class at the comic strip, another friend said I should get up at New York Comedy Club.
Mhm.
So it was a real show, which was probably also terrible because everyone was good. And I was like, I'm in the middle of this 8-week class, so watch out. And it was
That's
insane.
okay. Well, was it with D.F. Sweedler, your class?
Oh, you know it, Maureen. You know
It
it
was
was
my
a
first class. Well, my second class. Liz Glazer, how long have you been doing this now? And when did you first go up?
Sure. It'll be 9 years on March 5th. So it's 9 years.
COVID.
I'm sorry, I'm not of this world. Time doesn't
That's why
matter.
she's not a lawyer anymore. He didn't murder. I mean, it was only manslaughter. I'm confused.
Oh, I actively avoid my law degree every single day. So, but the first time I ever did it was right after I got tenure because I was a law professor for like most of my lawyer life.
Where?
At Hofstra on Long Island. But I was visiting for the semester at Northwestern. Because you do that like as a professor, you visit other places, whatever. Anyway, I had taken an improv class a little bit before, had a crush on the teacher, and then met up with her because I was like, we were still friends on Facebook. She wasn't teaching improv anymore. I was like, hey, could you do like one-on-one improv, which sounds like it might be sexual or have some innuendo. I assure you, it did not. I just was like, she's amazing. She's so fearless. I want to be around her. And so we have coffee. I show up as me. And also I was on a lot of Adderall. And I think she interpreted, I'm sober now, which I know is an annoying thing to say, but sober people like have to tell you that they're sober. It's like they've never been more addicted to anything in their life than telling people that they're sober. Anyway, so I sit down and I'm, basically on meth. And she, I think, interpreted that over caffeination as stage presence. So this woman I had a crush on, was like, have you ever thought of doing stand-up? And I had been teaching for 7 years at that point. So I was like, no. And then she's like, oh, well, you can have a spot on this show that I'm producing if you want to do it. And I was like, are you gonna be at the show? Because if so, then sure. And so I did. Nothing ever happened. Like we're friends, but that was never like.
That's not your wife now. That's not. No. That's okay. I didn't know. I didn't know where this was going. Okay, right. But a crush precipitated you doing stand up.
Correct.
For me, I was a journalist at Bloomberg Television and Radio. Very successful. Very no, I'm being. That's my sense of humor. Being like my gifts. So I was at Bloomberg and I was doing commentary and celebrity interviews and person on the street stuff. And it was satirical world news. And I was very happy there. And then they started to plant the seeds for him to run for governor. And of course, mayor. I'm on 3 hours sleep, you guys, because I flew in from a gig from Myrtle Beach. So it was 5 a.m. What is that about? That's about saving $400 on a flight. That's what that's about.
Oh, God.
So I'm like incoherent. But they started to reel me in after 7 years doing what I loved, not for any personal reasons, but because you couldn't be controversial at all if somebody's planting seeds to run for mayor. So they brought in a new suit, and up until that time, everything was loose and free and creative. And he was like, "We would like you, Maureen. We're changing the tone of the tenor of what we're doing here. We'd like you to report on stocks and bonds targeting retired people."
Oh dear.
He said, "What do you think?" I said, "May I speak freely?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "I'd rather stick pins in my eyes." So the comedy was born. Yeah. But you get a lot of people asking you. Let me just reintroduce for those of you tuning in now. My guests are Jane Condon, Regina DeCicco, Liz Glazer. There are 3 national winners of the Ladies of Laughter contest. The Ladies of Laughter is a platform. They have contests and women get an opportunity to perform. And even if you don't finish first, you're showcasing in so many great places in front of so many people. And you're meeting these folks who are the best. And I love them all so much. And what we're talking about really is how you got started, because it's a scary freaking thing to get up there and then continue doing that. So of course, people always want to know, well, what do I do? What do you think I should do to start doing this? And by the way, Jane has performed at the White House. She's had tea with Hillary Clinton. Regina is the warm-up for The View. Liz, you're killing it, man. You're doing it 9 years and you're just all over the country. So things do happen. There's no one path. But now, Regina, how did you land The View?
So they were looking for a new warm-up, and they had asked internally, and one of my friends who's a comedian, his sister happened to work there at the time, and they just sort of were submitting people, and they submitted me, and they really liked they liked the clip that they watched.
Yeah.
And when you audition for the job is doing the job.
Right.
So they brought me in to do it. And what was wild is I'd never done warm-up before my audition for the job at The View. But
Tell people what that is, because there are people listening who don't know what that is. Warm up. What
it's
does
true.
that mean?
People don't know what it is while I'm doing it, Maureen, to be honest, sometimes. Like even today, so before the show starts, you basically get everybody like excited, and then you get them up, you get them clapping. But I really like to do crowd work with them for them to get to know each other, and then I also do commercial breaks, which doesn't happen in a lot of other shows. I realize the late night guys don't do commercial breaks.
But you're not saying buy Vitamita Vegemin. You're keeping them engrossed,
Yes.
connected during the commercial break.
Yes, during the commercial breaks. I mean, with The View, sometimes it's hard because it's not always fun topics. So sometimes there'll be commercial breaks where either the ladies are going at it or the topic is sad, and then I try to when I first was auditioning, they had the way they do on The View. They had like an argument. So I was like, oh my God, hot topics got hot. And the stage manager looked at me. He was like, distract them. Distract. So then I have to do my little like sort of song and dance thing. But even today, I always laugh because people in the audience will always be like, you should be a comedian. And then even today, I was like, it's funny. That's what I was doing right now. But the crew loves it because then they'll be like, Regina, you should look into it. The crew is always like, Regina, you should pursue it. You should pursue it because it might work.
But that's also like, just to say, like, that's such an amazing compliment because like, aren't we always trying to be conversational? And what an amazing thing that someone's like, I don't know if you know this, but like, you're pretty funny. Like, that's the best, right? Like,
yeah, that's a
not
great way
even
to
know
think
it's
about
funny.
it, Liz. Liz, I'm glad you're here. Because I always think to myself, I can't imagine another profession where while someone's doing it, you're like telling your dentist, like, you should stick with it. Like, it doesn't make sense. But the way you said it, Liz, you've turned things around.
Regina, you're hitting something with your mic, so just be a little careful there. I don't know.
But also, sorry. I think this is a great bit, Regina.
I haven't done it yet, but yes, we're best friends.
Okay, I thought so, but I just didn't. I heard
right.
Maureen call you Gina, but I didn't want to assume.
Did I say Gina? I said Regina. Didn't I say Regina?
Oh, I didn't know.
It doesn't matter. We're best friends now, Liz. So
okay.
Everybody's best friends with Liz.
Anyway, I think it's a
Shout
great
out to
thing.
Jen Peterman, who's watching. We're gonna get her back up on stage. She's really a natural. And now, what I want to ask you, Jane. I mean, you have performed at events for the White House. Tell us what you've done in DC, because that was a big deal, and you've done it a few times. Don't you do some big White House things?
I did a lot of fundraisers, and I do a lot of benefits and theater stuff. I'd say actually my biggest claim to fame is I gave a commencement speech, so it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And what I loved is I went off book. You have to submit. Because they're afraid you're going to say mother effer or something. I don't know why. Yeah, I know. Unlikely with this face. But my favorite moment of it was when I pushed the script aside. It was 550 young women at Wellesley College, my alma mater. And we often let graduates do the commencement, because it's when, women giving you a lift up. Very sweet. Yeah. And also, I think Hillary Clinton and Nora Ephron and Cokie Roberts weren't available that year, or Madeleine Albright. But anyway, all that aside.
They did call me too, Jane, and I couldn't do it. Just so you know, even though I didn't go to that college.
Well, anyway, I pushed the script aside at one point, and I said, as I look at this sea of eager, educated faces, I'm thinking, I have a son in the audience, and he's available if anybody's interested. Preferably someone with a healthcare plan. And I'm like, honey, would you stand up? And they're like, please, God, please let him stand up. Natural childbirth, just let him stand up. Okay. Yeah. And he stood up, and he waved, and he said, call me.
Oh, that's magic.
About 5 moms call me.
That's magic. But didn't you perform at events where Bill Clinton was there and Hillary?
Oh yeah, Bill and Hillary. Yeah, I've done both. Oh, that thing. Oh yes, I do Renaissance Weekend. It's a New Year's Eve show, over 1,000 people, and that's pretty wonderful. Oh, well, I can tell you how I bombed at it too. That's always part of comedy.
What? Oh my
I
gosh.
said
I love bombing stories.
we have I'm sort of the glue that holds the show together. We have like 75, 80 singers. We do song parodies of the year in review. And I just set it up and I do things about people in the audience and interstitials. I bring jokes that I don't use, but sometimes I use. Yeah. I write it mostly at the show. It's real high wire. Anyway, I was saying something about how I really love it. It was a song parody of a TV show. I said, I really love this show, 24. And I think Chloe should marry Jack. And I know she's with Morris, and then I sort of, my antenna went up and I'm like, oh my God, nothing. I'm hearing crickets. Like, to me, it was like a truck was riding through in front of 1,000 people. Yeah. Absolutely. No, nada, no response. And, I acknowledged, I just said, oh, I forget, you either read the Wall Street Journal or Scientific American. Silly me. Okay. And then it was on with the show.
Good for you. Good knowing how to pivot.
It's either acknowledge and move on or just move on, because you'll hit a funny joke eventually.
Yeah.
But that takes confidence to do that, and that takes skill. That's what you learn, and that's one of the things you learn as a comedian.
All the years. Yeah.
What I want to do is give a shout out now. We are all going to be performing May 11th at the Friars Club in New York City. Ladies of Laughter, the national winners. One of the national winners can't be there, so the runner-up will step in. Langan.
Great.
Fair. Truth be told, I'd only been doing it 3 minutes the first year in the 90s, but I want you to get tickets. There's only 20 tickets left. This is a big deal. It's a live album taping, the first time in the history of the Friars that all female comics are doing a taping there. So there's only 20 tickets left, and it's only $25. It's open to the public. This is a rare opportunity to see an iconic townhouse building. Totally. What's the number, Maureen? Please stand by. 212-751-7272. That number once again, 212-751-7272. Call now, and you'll get an Amana radar range. The other thing is, you can also go to my website. All the details are there too, maureenlangan.com, and then just do /gigs. You know what? I'm going to do that one more time. What is it, Maureen? It's
maureenlangan.com
/gigs. It's working.
Scroll with it, baby. Anyway, there we go. maureenlangan.com gigs. So we're talking about, I'm going to bring in just a moment, give us a couple minutes. We'll bring in the founder of the Ladies of Laughter, but I want to hear, yes, go ahead, Jane.
Can I just finish my little story?
Oh my God, I thought it was over. Back to Jane Condon, please.
No, sorry, I'm taking too long. But after the show, this guy came up to me and he said, well, I really like that show, 24. And I said, sir, I think it's you, me, your wife, and my son. He said, well, I'm the executive producer. Whoa. And you should be on my show. And I said, yeah, I think I should. My dad was an FBI agent. I think I'd make a great CTU analyst, counterterrorism unit analyst. It was a thing they made up. And I was on the season finale.
That's great.
Shane.
So, do you know what I mean? Like, you never know who's in the audience.
Yeah.
And you never know when a bomb will be your friend.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I cut you off, Jane. I'm sorry about that. That is friggin' fantastic.
Totally. That's awesome.
Okay. I want to hear, Liz, your biggest bomb story. And Regina, I'm going to bring on Peggy Boys.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So I was doing this show and I really, really wanted it to go well, which is like the worst, obviously. And it was in front of 100% Mexican Catholic audience, which is relevant because for whatever reason, they're Mexican Catholic. I want this to go well. I'm like, this audience is going to understand the difference between Reform, Conservative, and Orthodox Judaism tonight. Like, it has to happen. And I'm just like rolling with this TED Talk from synagogue that nobody asked for and just bombing so hard. And in the middle of this thing, someone's Siri on their cell phone accidentally heckled me, and it goes off and it says, "I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that." And that got the biggest laugh of the entire set. So that's great story.
What about you, Regina? Have you ever had one, Regina? Ever?
You know what, Maureen? I was going to say, when I had first gotten engaged, that was like my big opener, that I just got engaged. And I was doing a show downtown, and I started off with that. And usually people would clap. There was no clapping. And I just went on, and it was just like, I was like, oh my God, they're not liking any of this. Someone tried to order a drink from me while I was on stage. I mean, it was really not going well. And this is when another comedian saved me. I know you know Charles McBee, the comedian. I know. So I got off, and I walked to the back, and Charles was like, they hated you. And I said, I know, Charles, I was there. I saw them hate me. But what we realized was it was an audience full of single women. So when I started off with like, look at me, they were like, but if it wasn't for him, I probably would have just quit, you know, because it was like they hated me.
But there's a camaraderie amongst comics too when you bomb.
Yeah.
The biggest bombing. I did a big corporate event actually after they saw me in Nantucket, where Jane lives in the summer, and I was there. They hired me for more money than I'd ever made. And I get there and I like to do my homework. So there's a big cocktail party outside. So I just want to see who the people are and look around and kind of just be a fly on the wall. Security came up and said that the assistant to the president will be escorting me out, that I am not to be there and I wasn't invited for that part. Okay. So, so I was escorted out by security from my event. The other one is I was at the Gracie Awards, which is a huge, I was escorted. I could do the show the next night, but I was escorted because that was a private part of their event. And here I am showing up a day early to be diligent, to see what's going on. And thankfully, my agent said, how dare you? I was going to leave. I said, I don't care how much money this is. I would never treat somebody this way. I do not care. They're a very, very wealthy corporation. I said, I'm the daughter of a garbage man. I'm out of here. And the agent said, Maureen, please let me. And he wrote them a very direct email. He said, how dare you treat her like that? She's a professional. I was mortified. The other one quickly was the Gracie Awards, women broadcasting awards. They want me to MC. I get there. Nobody set it up correctly. Nobody's listening. I start doing some Kardashian jokes, but Kathy Lee finally looks up because she's like best friends with Kris Jenner. People are mortified. Nobody's laughing. My radio agent is seeing me for the very first time perform. I don't think he's called since. It was humiliating. Allison Janney was in the front row, and she just kept going like this and giving me love.
And what a good girl.
Mary Lou Henner turned on me, and I mean, she was just got everybody like I was diseased after that. She didn't say anything, but she was like, ooh. So anyway, those are mine. Those are the bomb stories, you folks. This is what happens, and you have to throw yourself in the deep end. That's what it takes. And
I have a whole section of my comedy about bombing. So like, if it happens, I'm like, all right, well, we'll throw it in that section.
Yeah. You know? And you learn to be okay with it. And you learn to know if you're how to pivot like Jane did. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing. All right. So the Ladies of Laughter, the founder of the Ladies of Laughter is joining us now. One of our favorite people in the world, Peggy Boyce.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be with you today. I thought I was going to miss this because my someone knocked on my door, and I'm starting the Martha Stewart meal kit program. And I was so afraid I was going to miss that because, I want to get those recipes in, and I was charged already. So today I'm starting this new meal program. It's with Martha Stewart. So she's it's the name of the meals, the Martha Stewart meal plan.
No, it's not.
Bombing stories.
She's joking. There's no more.
Serious. I was terrified that I was going to miss this.
Now she's coming into our home. Like it wasn't enough that she's like in the ether constantly. She has to come into the home now. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. She's into everything now, and she has a CBD thing now. She's got skincare. I mean, she's like amazing.
My actress keeps growing.
Last week I was going to go to, and my goal is to be a Martha Stewart groupie. I just want to follow her.
My whole act is that she won't go away. Like we put her in jail, but she comes out. We can't live her. Like there's bitch societies popping up all across America because of her. All right.
I know. I love her.
It's like the industrial revolution.
Yes, Snoop and her hanging out. It's great. I mean, getting high and all.
Well, he brings the pot, she brings the pans. This is
if you get the munchies. So
just okay, ahead, Peg. So I want to know tell people what the Ladies of Laughter is.
Oh, it's a burden. No. Actually,
The greatest.
it's a wonderful program that I started. It's like, it really became my life. I mean, when you're young, you kind of, you go into different fields and stuff, and without knowing it, this became my my entire life. And so, I love it. It's really, I started it to really give women the chance to be discovered, the chance to get to the next level, and also create an atmosphere that's fun, that they get paid well, that they're treated with respect, and that they want to keep doing it. And that's what I knew what was missing when I was performing. You would be basically out there on your own, and there's very lack of camaraderie, when you're going into these clubs by yourself. One of the reasons why I quit performing was because I wasn't with my friends. I didn't have a good time anymore. I didn't want to do it because it was like, I'm all alone and I'm doing this. And after the show, you want to high five someone. You want to be like, wasn't that great? Did you see that bit I did? Or blah, blah. And that's what we do here. In fact, some of the ladies that are here, really, all of the ladies here are very supportive of the other ladies. And you can.
I love that you were about to say some. It's like some of these
like, wait,
4 people, some of them
figure
are
out
supportive.
which one it
You
is.
know who you are.
No,
put it in the chat.
everybody.
Who's the worst?
Everybody's so wonderful, and also they kind of, you raise the bar. So when you're a newbie and you're out doing this for the first time in these really wonderful theaters that we get to go to, you have to raise your game because you're around very experienced ladies that have been doing this, and so it becomes like you become better. And that's what I enjoy seeing. Like Regina, when you won back in 2012, you were sort of a newbie, and then when we saw you, rise to the occasion just right after you got into the tour, it was so exciting to watch. And that's what gives me joy and makes me happy, is to see people actually becoming, what they're meant to be.
You create the space for it. It's really amazing.
Well,
so what I want to say is people are watching this. We all know what it's like, but people's like, well, how do I enter? When are these contests? How do I become a part of it? So Peggy, address that.
Well, it is a lot of work to do the contest. So I was doing it every year, and then I decided, I really want to do a tour, So then I decided, okay, 1 year we'll do the contest and the next year we'll do the tour. So the winners go out on tour the following year, and then we redo the contest in the next year. So it's really every other year. So the next time the contest will be next year, 2023. And it's usually in the summer, but we may move it to the spring. Just because, now that I'm menopausal, it's very hot in the summer to go to these events. And, I want to smell fresh is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I also think,
sure.
We want that.
I think a good way, if someone is actually really interested, would be to come to the Friars Club on May 11th.
I love you, Liz.
The number on the screen below in a second, I imagine. And, you could come to the taping May 11th at the Friars Club. And really, I mean this seriously, like it is an advertisement, but also because then you could ask and you could see us and you could ask us about our experience with Ladies of Laughter on the tour, in the contest, etc. Just an idea.
But after the taping, not during.
Well, yeah.
Not during.
We are doing a taping on the 11th at the Friars Club. There's only about 20 tickets left. It's only $25, and it's a rare opportunity for people to see the Friars Club itself and to see about 7-8 women performing on the show. Peggy, though, this is a historic thing at the Friars Club.
Yeah, I mean, everyone remembers, as you enter the second floor of where the Milton Berle room, where we'll be performing, there's a big, large
Swinging
photo.
dick? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry?
Big swinging dick. He's known for it. Now was on the
You
wall.
go under the dick when you enter. Everybody will walk under the giant penis and then enter the showroom.
Yes. It's sort of like the mistletoe at the Friars Club. But when you get to that second floor, there's a giant picture of Jerry Lewis. And I just can't think of a more perfect photo to be hanging that night. And right as you enter the Milton Berle room, as you know, he said I don't know, I guess it was before he died, that women aren't funny. And so this is just sort of, it's best to do these things, after those people are gone. And I wanted to celebrate his life with this event.
I love it. I love it. And you know what, too? I'm with such great gals here, wonderful comedians, the founder of the Ladies of Laughter, Peggy Boyce, my friend Jane Condon, wonderful comedian, as well as Liz Glazer and Regina DeCicco, fantastic performers. Before we wrap this up, you guys, please get tickets for May 11th. Again, the number is 212-751-7272. And you can also go to my website and you will be able to go to my gigs, go maureenlangan.com gigs. All the information is there and you could see it. You'll know what to do. Okay, it's all there. Everything's happening. Now, what I want to do, wrap this up with, is I want each of you to give a piece of advice. I know Jen Peterman is watching and she really wants to get back on stage. She did it early on. Jane and I know her. I took classes when I was 21 with a fellow at the New School named Stephen Schaefer, who I love, and then D.F. Sweether many years later. I was 21. I didn't go back up until I was 35. That's how frightened I was, you guys. So I understand, we all understand this fear. And now that I'm usually successful hosting a podcast from my sister's porch, everything's working out. And we have great opportunities. I'm going to Dubai. I just found that out this morning.
I'm so envious.
These are the things that happen, you guys. I've been to South Africa and Switzerland and going to Edinburgh Fringe Festival in August. I tell you these things because you can make them happen. You may not make a fortune, but you will have a life that is so fulfilling. And, I used to want so much more before the pandemic. I gotta get more. Now I'm just so friggin' happy with what I have. And I love the camaraderie with people. I used to isolate so much more, not doing that. So I share these things with you because it is this kind of crazy up and down. But when you get there and you're okay with it, even through the struggle, it's a good thing. So I would like first, Peggy, everybody give a piece of advice. Peggy, what's yours?
Well, it's a calling, but make sure that the voice isn't, is your own voice. Mm-hmm. Don't listen to other people. And if you still want to do it when when it's not going well, then it's a calling. So the best is just to be at it and don't be it's a very competitive field, but if you can just play your own game, you'll go far.
Yay. Jane Condon. And
I like what Oscar Wilde said, be yourself, everyone else is taken. The whole thing is to get to your voice. The whole thing is to get on stage as much as you can. If you want to start not in the trenches at the open mics, which you should do some, Manhattan Comedy School, Gold Comedy, different towns, improv, acting. There are lots of ways there. Just keep doing it and you'll win.
Liz?
Quit. No, I'm just
just sign off. We just end it. Everything goes quit.
This was something. No, I just meant that as a reversal or punch on whatever. But
we were there. We get it. We're comedians. We know what you did there. We get what you did.
Feel bad. You never do that. Like you do a punch, like you do a joke, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. It's my whole personality. But anyway, so this is helpful for me. It was particularly helpful for me when I first started going on stage, which is from the jump, like right when you get on stage, assume that everybody loves you. Not because they necessarily do. You may have even empirical evidence to the contrary, but by assuming that everybody loves you, you take off the table trying to make them love you.
Very good. Very good. Very good. And Regina?
I would say if you want to do it, don't let this be a regret that you never try stand up. And I think for me too, once you get into it, you're going to find a different lane. Yeah. Like I never wanted to do warm up. That was not on my radar. I saw people do it. I didn't think I liked it. And then stand up takes you to different places. Right. So like to the point, just get on stage because you don't know where you wind up, but it could be someplace great. But you have to start. So don't regret it.
And you're going to feel sick and you're going to feel nervous.
Yeah.
You are. And when you say find your voice, it's going to take you a while. Like you guys, like what fuels it, for example, I do this whole Martha. You guys know my crazy Martha Stewart and just keeps growing. Now, Peggy's talking about her coming home. That's on the radar now. How do you work, you hear things that are part of what you talk about. Not that I'm stealing anybody's material. She's just talking about this new delivery stuff. You're like, oh, or Jane's out and she sees something that resonates. You write it down. It doesn't have to be jokey joke. This is now fodder. It's not a joke. It becomes fodder. You write that down, and when you're funny with your friends, you say, how did I say that? Write it down, record it. But also know it's a slug, man. You're going to suck for a while. That's all I'm saying. You're going to, but got to be willing.
Can I say something, Marie? There's no making it in this. You could be on TV one day and the next day you're at the Chuckle Hut.
That's right.
Where is the Chuckle Hut that everybody talks about?
Well, I'll be there this weekend.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to really love to be in this kind of field. And when people say, oh, this is going to be my big break, I always say, hopefully it'll get you to be seen by more people, and you never know where you can go with it. Like when I started as a comedian, I noticed that there was this thing that was lacking, and that's what I wanted to create. And so I started out on that path, and I ended up here. And that's what's going to happen, that'll happen with a lot of you that do this. So it's
a lot of you.
Yeah.
Well,
3 out of 4.
Peggy gives us an opportunity to perform in Washington State and California and Long Island and just nationally everywhere. You've created such a wonderful opportunity for all of us. That's how we all know each other. And it's a really wonderful thing, Peggy. Thank you.
I hope you all come to my funeral. That's really great. I hope it's not going to be like, well, who's taking over Ladies of Laughter now? When I drop dead.
Who hopes that?
Yeah, step over the body and then onward. But I hope at least I have a good funeral.
You will have a great funeral.
Yeah,
And
we're going to do it.
I just want to repeat what somebody else said, is just really come to this show. 10 of the best working female comedians, but 10 of the best comedians in the country are going to be there doing 10 minutes each. You couldn't see a better show.
That's right.
It's called Ladies of Laughter. Go ahead, Peg. I'm sorry. I stepped on
history.
Yeah.
This is a historic night.
Yeah, it is.
Ladies of Laughter, it's the live taping. Live taping May 11th at the Friars Club, 212-751-7272. You got to be there at 7:30 because the doors are locked for the taping at 8 o'clock.
That's right.
You're like, well, Maureen, I forget. How do I find out? Go to maureenlangan.com, go to gigs, and I have it all written up there too. So you guys, I'm going to, I want you to all give you a little social media. I'll do that before I say goodbye. I'm so happy you all hung with me, that you were hanging with Langan.
Always.
Oh, great show.
I love you.
Thank you, Marie, for all of you do, for all that you do.
Yes.
For the people. It's a lot.
Around you.
Yeah. I'm a conduit for love. Jane Condon at jcondon4, CONDON, JCONDON4 on the Instagram. At regina.decicco. Once again, regina.decicco. And Liz Glazer at LIZGLAZER. And I'm always at Maureen Langan. Every day, same bat time, same bat channel. And Peggy Boyce, how do people follow you?
Go to Ladies of Laughter. There's only one, even though many people use the name. There's really only one real Ladies of Laughter. This is the real one.
You crazy kids. All right, what I'm going to do is everybody, follow everybody. We're all about love. And until we, my own tech person, till we meet again. Bye, Wig. Mwah.
No, you cannot leave me like that.
Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review, and feel free to share it with friends.
Please don't go, please.
I'll be back.
Au revoir.